is completely different for each person. Number 2, how is life after death depicted? How does it affect death and funerals? That is the way that it's depicted. Does it affect at all either the meaning of death or the meaning of funerals or what funerals are? So I want you to think about that. And then another sort of all-encompassing question, again, yes or no, try and argue the opposite side. These are, again, just guiding questions. You don't have to do all of these in order to do a successful Socratic seminar. It just kind of helps you think about the topic. Do you think that all art ultimately is a commentary on death? Does all art, everything, yes or no? You can argue both ways. You can see someone argue opposite of what they often think about this idea. See if they can challenge themselves. Does all art comment on death? Doesn't seem like it, but could I make an argument for it? Could I make a connection there that might not otherwise be as known? For the Egyptians, art was a fulfillment of the things that happened in the afterlife. It was meant to be a proxy to the life that was to come, that was eternal, that was based on merit and based on status, based on my preparation in this life. Everything they did was a preparation for the afterlife. Some religions even today are a lot like that. Preparation for the afterlife. Everything that they do is in preparation for eternity. In fact, these artworks here. Take a look at these people. These are portraits of people. Idealized, true. Probably what kind of person?
Pharaoh.
Pharaoh, probably a leader. And yet it represents a very concrete person, much like you, who is now in the ground, mummified somewhere. But his artwork lives on. His portrait lives on. It's all artwork and commentary of death. Think about that idea. Yes?
Is it possible to mummify people still?
Yes, it's absolutely possible. Our bodies have not changed a whole lot since Egypt.
Wait, do people still do that?
Yes. We have all sorts of ways that we do it. Have you ever been to the Bodies exhibit?
No,
in Long Beach or
I want to go.
in Balboa? Or is it, where's this at? What is it? Next to Knott's Berry Farm they have it. Was it? And there's one in Las Vegas. Yeah, there's ways in which we preserve the body, for sure. Absolutely. And we still do today. We do lots of stuff. There's also a book called Stiff that tells you all about the modern ideas related to mummification. Yeah, it's actually a really interesting story about the life after death for a corpse. not a zombie thing, but just like what happens to your body after it dies. There's all sorts of things that your body does without you in it, basically. That's important things, too. Life-saving things. Testing, scientific things. Or just preservation things. So we'll be open, honest conversation about death on Thursday. Let's start, though, with some of the history here. The earliest thing, I'm going to start with how we discovered, how it was illuminated to us what Egypt was all about. Egypt was an unlocked mystery. Imagine a people, by the time Napoleon gets on the scene, in the 1700s, in the 18th century, he's colonizing and sort of bringing revolution ideals through dictatorship across the known world. And throughout the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, Egypt was, in the ruins of Egypt, this ancient Egyptian kingdom, was locked up in historical records that were told by either the Jewish religion, Christianity, Jewish religion, the Exodus, and that sort of thing. We had some basic information, but the core central ideas of Egypt were locked away as mystery. And so there's all these development folklores and myths as a result of that. What were the Egyptians about? What did they believe? What are these big temple structures in the middle of the desert about? They didn't know, and so they had these magic developments. Just like the Stonehenge and the ideas of it being built by giants and having special sort of runic magic, some sort of special medieval magic. Napoleon gets on the scene, and they begin excavations. He brings along some scientists, some archaeologists, some early fledgling archaeologists, thank goodness. They didn't just destroy things, they also tried to learn a little bit here and there. At least they had enough people with them that wanted to learn. It's said that Napoleon famously is the reason the Sphinx looks as disfigured as it is today, because they were using it as target practice. They used to allow the soldiers to use it, because it just didn't mean the same thing to them to preserve it in the same way. But nevertheless, there were people who were able to get in and find things. And the greatest invention, or I should say the greatest discovery, was this thing here. It's called the Rosetta Stone. Heard of the Rosetta Stone? You heard a name of a software, right? What does that software let you do?
It's to learn different languages.
Exactly. And it learns it in a very particular way. It shows you the language, and then it shows you a picture, 4 pictures, and you to create, it's like a game where you find the right answer based on what the context of the sentence. And you hear the person saying, you know, say, a la mujer, or something like that. And you got to choose which one is the correct answer. So you go through it, and you actually learn it based on the images.
I love my hair.
What is it?
I love my hair.
I love my hair. No, mujer. Like woman. Right? So yeah, and I did that. I've done like 3 or 4 levels of, and then all I know from the Rosetta Stone in French I was gonna learn French, and I never did. And I was gonna do the Spanish too, and never did. So that I'm lazy. But I know le voiture is jaune. The car is yellow. I knew that. It's like le voiture. Car. Right. The voiture is jaune. It's the yellow car. Yeah. All right. I know French. I'm good. The top, the Rosetta Stone did the same thing. It had pictures, and then it had languages, and in 2 different other languages that we could discern. You see this image here. This gives you a clear presentation of what was here. It was a contract. You see, it was an Egyptian contract that was written in sort of the late kingdom of Egypt, in its sort of legal writing that of Egyptians. So this sort of middle point we also didn't know about. But in the bottom here was Greek. And we knew a lot about Greek. So the bottom, Greek, middle, the modern Egyptian of the era, and then at the top, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. And we were able to discern, based on the 3 contract system, that this was a language, a tri-language meaning the same thing. So using that, able to construct, and then you guys benefited from creating your names right now, today, because of this. Yes?
Wasn't this found in a tomb or like the side of a tomb?
I'm not sure exactly where it was found.
They really dug it out.
I'm assuming that there was excavated somewhere, but I'm not sure exactly where. Anyway, so just a little bit of backstory on that. If you want to see the Rosetta Stone, it's literally in the ticket booth right next to the British Museum. Yes, where who has it now is Britain. Britain has everything. So you go to London, you get to see everything. Here is the breakdown of the different periods. So right in front of you here is a simple organization of what we call this time period of Egypt in Egyptian art. It's broken into different segments depending on whether the people were in control of their own land, or if some invader had come in and sort of occupied for a while and then eventually was reclaimed. This is usually the divisions that occur in the ancient world. They have this sort of kingdom for a while, and then it was overtaken, and then it falls into shambles. And then we took it again, so now we have this new kingdom, and then it goes into shambles. And then there's another kingdom, and eventually it gets subsumed. By the time you get into like this era, it's sort of, things are getting subsumed into large empires, like large blocks. People are controlling great swaths of land throughout the countryside, throughout the countries. So eventually we'll get these big divisions of land based on empires. But early on, the world was small and roomy. People had lots of little kingdoms everywhere. And so at the very beginning here, we had pre-dynastic period. This is all the way from the Neolithic context all the way to the Neolithic Revolution, and we have some developments in civilization. These places would be small sort of city-states, much like the ancient Near East. You can see them all around Lower Egypt. And then Upper Egypt is actually lower than Lower Egypt, which doesn't make sense, except for one important idea, and that is the elevation of the two. So Upper Egypt is actually a higher elevation. The Nile actually flows this way. And they didn't have bird's eye view to understand which way was up and which way was down anyways. So when they understand Upper and Lower Egypt is higher up, and then Upper Egypt is down. So just know that it's reversed. But there's lots of little cities along here, and Egypt is a pretty deserted kind of feeling place. So how could they possibly create habitations in a place that's so feels like sub-Saharan Africa or some other type of just low water source, low moisture area? How do you survive in that? Where do you survive? Look at where the clustering of all the cities are.
Like near the greenery.
Oh,
Near the water.
There's a little strip of land, and then there's this beautiful tributary at the top here, this delta, in which you're able to have fertile land. In fact, the land was very fertile, gardening, flowers, very, very green. And this is a result of the life-giving structure of the Nile. The Nile, then, would be important or unimportant to their religious life or everyday life. Very important. It's literally the life bringer of everything. So in fact, the afterlife is considered a form of the river. There's parts of the Nile even connected to their afterlife ideas. Yes?
What are wadi naturals? The wadi naturals?
Say it again? You're talking about a city?
No, it's like down there. It says wadi naturals.
What is this?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it a mountain range, perhaps? I don't know. That's something to look up. Wadi Natrum. I never don't study that, but you can for sure look that up if you like. The place that we're going to be looking at, Heliopolis, Giza is going to be important, Dashur, but the big ones are going to be Giza and what will be modern day Cairo. We'll look at a couple of Thebes, Alexandria. Once the pre-dynastic period, which is just tiny cities, eventually coalesce together, and then one leader, just like with Naram Sin, one leader will be able to consolidate Upper and Lower Egypt into a single kingdom. And that's where you get the Old Kingdom. It's sort of the highlight of Egyptian life. Starts with the Old Kingdom, 2680 to 2258. So it's about a 400-year period. It's also the longest period. You got 700 here. So it's definitely the most important period of Egyptian existence because it's sort of everything after that they're trying to recreate the Old Kingdom. They fall though. They lose a lot of their prestige, and then eventually there's a period of time in which the Hittites and other groups from the ancient Near East come down and take over the region for a time. Middle Kingdom reinvigorates the Old Kingdom stuff, but with some new ideals. So the artwork will reflect the new ideals. And then finally, it'll eventually go into this sort of New Kingdom with a specific emphasis on the Amarna period, which is a time period, a very, very small time period, about 30 years, in which a single ruler changes the whole canon of art just for his time period. He's literally had a completely different religion he wants to describe it to, so it's a total breakaway. So we'll look at why and how Egypt sort of broke away in this New Kingdom to the Amarna period. Have you studied a lot of this in 7th grade? You kind of are aware of the Amarna period, maybe? No. So from an artistic standpoint, this will be new to you. Yes, Lorraine?
Okay, so we were like talking about this. We're having trouble with it. What's the name of the pharaoh in the Ten Commandments?
So the New Kingdom will be, if you were thinking about the historical kind of coinciding of the New Kingdom Egypt, which is like the King Ramses, or Pharaoh Ramses, who was a big architect, big builder, that sort of thing. There's speculation or theory that he might have been the one that was part of the story in Exodus, at least the one that they're referencing. Of course, there's ongoing debate about that whole historicity and how that operates, but nevertheless, that would be the historic Ramses is what they would mention. Yeah?
But for every kingdom, was it different, like in their buildings or in their art?
Say it again?
Like, you know how it's the old and the New Kingdom?
Yeah.
As they made themselves newer and better, was it in the artwork?
Both. Yeah, they're every medium changed their way that they did their architecture. So we'll look at each one of those in a moment. Here's a work from Heracleopolis. This work is very similar to what other artwork that we've seen.
Neolithic.
Do you remember the Neolithic work?
The one with the
It's kind of like the cave paintings, but what Neo is this looking more like Neolithic or Paleolithic?
Paleolithic.
Because I'm silent, you're like, what? Neolithic or Paleolithic? I just said Paleolithic at the end, so that means that's what you say, right? Why does this look Paleolithic, Justin?
Oh, because it's like it looked like there's like a layering.
Okay, it looks like there's layering. Okay, that's a good argument.
And they kind of showed the struggle
Kind of shows some struggles for what?
to survive.
Okay, some struggles to survive. Can someone make an argument for Neolithic? Lorraine.
It's well, we see some modern, more modern advanced technology in here. It's the same depiction of humans and animals, you know, fighting each other, like hunting animals and stuff.
That what other work?
Yeah.
Starts with a C. It's 2 words. The city.
Katahayuk.
Katahayuk. Katahayuk in Turkey. All right. That's a little struggle. You got to remember that Neolithic. What in the Neolithic work? Katahayuk shows the Neolithic painting. Same kind of thing, right? You have the composite view, these stick figure kind of characters with their various technologies. In this case, you have sort of these spear bearing things that are literally like a spear hook. Have you ever seen people at parks with dogs and they have that special ball thrower that throws the ball really far and they don't have to hurt their arm?
Really?
They used to have. Yeah, they're like, well, yeah, because you can throw it in. No, it's fine. Huh? Oh, what?
They have like a ball gun.
Do they?
Like a ball.
I'm talking about like it's just like an actual like it's like an articulated digit on your.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing only they would do that with a spear, so they could throw a spear really really fast, and it was the way that they killed stuff. Anyway, so you got those things going here, these crooks. You have look at this. What does that look like?
It looks like animals are going on a human.
No, I don't want you to tell me literally. I want you to tell me what it looks like in terms of other artwork we've seen. Yes.
Oh, that
Wasn't it something on the bull-headed harp?
Perfect. Yeah, put +3 in your favor. That was a very good point. Just like the sort of construction, I have like my 2 homies, my 2 animals, right, that are hanging out with me. These are my guys. I'm really close to the land. We're really close to the things around us. We have domesticated animals, part of civilization. We have pastoral animals, the people who feed us, both with milk and food. That is what's depicted here, and it's the same exact structure, symbolic structure that you see in the ancient Near East. They probably never met each other, and yet they had the same kind of thoughts. It could have been that there was potential, overlap, and people were learning different people's canons of art, but this is pretty separate. What's a unique departure from the other works that we've seen that you see here in this work? What is depicted or represented in this work that's different than what we've seen in the past? Yes.
Well, I see on the top that there's all these like little rams, and they seem to be like on a stick or something, like they're gonna cook them in a fire.
Okay, so there's food and
We're all in one roast them.
barbecuing going on. All right, yeah.
They are like on land kind of thing, so it's not like they're still floating around.
Okay, so you feel like there's a little bit more of a sense of the ground line. Interesting. Do you see though?
They have their own barbecue.
Where is the ground line at?
There's no ground line. Is that-
Everyone's still floating pretty willy-nilly everywhere. What are these things?
Those are
What are they?
Crowd.
No, they're boats. I know you said boats. I just wanted to wait and see if you could. These are boats. Egypt had boats. This is a ocean, seeing kind of people, seafaring people or river-faring people. So this is different than what you saw with Katahayuk in Turkey. They weren't depicting boats like they did in Egypt.
That's how they treated their gold and everything.
There's a lot of this development here going on. All right. How is it different? So know this work here, Halcynopolis, pre-dynastic period, 3500 BCE. This is Neolithic, but it's got its own unique features. Then we have an important work here. Let me see if I have another slide. Yeah, I do. It's 3000 to 2900 BCE. 3000 to 2900. This work here is the Egyptian complement to the Stele of Naram Sin. It's called the Palette of Narmer.
They're so stupid.
They are so similar. Stele of Narm, Sin, pallets of Narmer. Two different types of statuary with relief on it that represents the same propaganda of a military ruler about the consolidation of the people under a new civilization. Two different types of statuary. A stele versus a pallet. For the Egyptians, I mentioned in the feminine ideal thematic unit that Egyptians loved makeup. Right? And this palette is actually a makeup palette. It wasn't used for makeup, but it was produced in the style of a makeup palette. It's kind of an interesting idea. And I'll show you where some of the makeup would have gone, but it's, again, not for makeup, it's for propaganda. I'm trying to think if there's a idea similar to it. I guess it's sort of like when you have trophies, I think Kids' Choice Awards or something like that has like popcorn, like golden popcorn or something like that. The MTV Awards, something like that, right? You have Grammys can sometimes look like gramophones or yeah. So it's sort of like it's taking something that actually had a function and turning it into an award or an artwork or something like that. This is the creation of kingdoms between two great lands, Upper and Lower Egypt. You have at the top a goddess who is raining down and giving the blessing, Goddess Hathor. So right here, God Hathor. You have Horus here also giving blessing, who is the protector god. You have Narmer right in the center there. Notice the hierarchical scale, guys. Also, this similar pose character here who's got his clear gesture going. Composite view. The Egyptians had a very clear canon. In fact, we'll talk about it towards the end when we look at hieroglyphics. But the canon is even more developed and perfected, standardized in the Egyptian period as compared to the ancient Near East. They forced everyone to abide by the same canon laws, which again, you notice go the same thing as the ancient Near East, which is why there's theories about how much contact the two had. Because again, their feet are in profile on the same ground line, and their bodies are the triangular torsos looking directly at you, totally unnatural, right? Same with the hands in profile, and then the face is then back into profile, so it moves much like that. But it's a way for you to see the entire body in a single two-dimensional pose. You get a sense of the whole person. Composite view. Just like with the Stele of Naram Sin, you also have what is a representation of his power. Well, he's the ruler, for sure. But what is this? What is the symbol of his power in regards to these people and things here?
I will kill you because they're running away, and she's like,
There's death all around him. So one of the aspects of death that's depicted here is the idea that death is weakness to my enemy. So one example of death, if I can cause someone else to die, I get stronger. And that's part of the hierarchical scale of showing that idea. He has conquered Egypt with an iron fist. Some other little subtle symbols here. Intertwined animals, we'll look at those on the other side in a second. But intertwined animals on the other side of the palette could symbolize unification. Snakes or some other type of animal. It's going to look like almost like a brontosaurus or a brachiosaurus. You'll see it in a second. The palette of Narmer is the beginning of Egyptian laws. It's the way in which you remind people, first off, we are united. It's sort of like their early Declaration of Independence or something like that. And it's very commemorative. It's not funerary. So it's one of the unique works of Egypt because it doesn't connect directly to a funeral ritual. The top here we have almost these two ox that hold up the sky, so it represents the sky. We also have gods and justice. We also have the two gods here looking out for us. Going back here to this work, you can see this is how it's supposed to look. And then to see it very clearly, we're going to do the contrast with it. Narmer is wearing the headdress of northern upper or lower Egypt. Does anyone remember? Is this Upper? I'm not sure off the top of my head, so that's what I'm asking. Upper Egypt. Now, eventually, to create the Upper and Lower Egypt, there was a snake headdress, a smaller headdress, as well as this sort of bowling pin headdress. The two become one as a symbolic symbol, again, art representing the way in which two sides have coalesced together. It's sort of like how our American flag has changed and evolved over time as a result of including more states. So we have how many stars in our flag? 50. Now, if we were to add like Puerto Rico or some other type of state, would our flag change? Yeah, and then everyone's flag would have one more star in it. I have to get rid of this. Okay, because symbols change. They evolve. They're not static. On the back side of the palette, this is actually where you have some makeup, like eyeshadow, if you were to use it. But you wouldn't use it because it's just too important. It's like nice. It's a commemorative thing. This is sort of these two lion-looking things with big kind of snake, weird heads. It's not a dinosaur, so don't think it's a dinosaur. It's just a weird sort of distortion of the body in order to create this design. And then the unification of the two. You see animals at the bottom. Again, a trampling of an ox on a person, representing, again, the entire army. If you didn't know about hierarchical scale and know about it here, look at that. Almost looks like a lot of the people are children moving through there, his soldiers, compared to him. So you see this very clear. And these are all dead bodies. So you can see how it's sort of composite viewing also from profile, also from the bird's eye view from the top. Yes?
Do they have the ox at the top to protect it? Because, you know,
That's the sky. So it represents the gods in the sky. Hathor. Yeah.
Does the shape that they're making of the next, does that have anything to do with the next?
With what?
Is that the shape that they're making kind of looks like the Venus symbol? Does that have to do with anything?
A Venus symbol?
But it's a symbol that the two are next to.
Like a Venus?
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I think it's more of a unification. They think it's a unification symbol of the two kingdoms. So the two animals here, the two lion-y looking things. Definitely fake animals. I'm not sure what they are, but they represent some type of connection between the two. Anyway, so that's the palette of Narm's in. We also, the palette of Narm. We have register lines here, very clear on the top of each of the characters, creating these bands of narrative. So know that as well, these register lines. Yes?
what exactly were they making?
So like, you have like bugs, scare beetles, and I'm not sure. I think it's ash and some other type of binder that you'd have for the eyeshadow, but I don't know.
Kind of more like clay.
Yeah.
Because it's on both sides. It's like a powder.
It would stick, and yeah, you want it to stick. I'm not sure. I would think that this would be the side you would use, and this side would be, the side that you'd hold. I think you'd only use it on one side.
Oh, okay.
You wouldn't. I don't think you'd flip the palette to do things. It'd be like an artist palette. Of course, again, it wasn't used. It was just created in that style. Good question. I'm not sure what the makeup. I'm pretty sure it was those types of things: scare beetles, binders, ash, that sort of thing. You could definitely look that up. I'm sure there's lots of clays involved as well. Early forms of pyramids. Write it down. Mastaba. Mastaba. Kind of a step pyramid looking thing. You see it here, it's like a step pyramid looking thing. Step pyramid, and mastaba is sort of the beginning parts of a step pyramid, which is also a sort of beginning process to the ultimate pyramid that we see in Giza. Mastabas are just the inner structure. It's like the beginning part of the whole thing. And so they start as these simplistic things, but then develop all sorts of symbolic shape over the course of the centuries. You need to have a mastaba because this ensures your happiness. If you don't have a mastaba, you're gonna just sort of float around, or your cause gonna just wander off. And you're not gonna know where you are or what you are. You don't want that. You want to be able to harness your identity on this life so that your ka doesn't forget, and that you're able to have happiness in the afterlife. So the mastaba is like a house. It's a house for the dead. And that house for the dead has all the stuff. The more stuff you have in it, including statues of yourself, things that you liked, if you could kind of preserve those things, your ka would remember who you were and could live a life very, very similar to the life that you lived on earth. And of course, if you're a pharaoh, you get everything you want. Very, very important for you to be able to continue that in the afterlife. So the elements of architecture connected to mastaba here. Simple, like trapezoidal structure, so it's like a brick with a sloping edges, sloping sides, very similar to the early ziggurat. So the ziggurat walls, at least. But then there's this whole other part here. This isn't a temple. This isn't a house to the gods. There's no gods living here. This is all for you and your death, if you were an Egyptian pharaoh. There's this long shaft, and you got to bring them into the ground. It seems like we always like putting people. It's like important to put them in the ground, right? It seems like an important step. And we get that from Egypt. And then they got that from Neolithic ancestors and Paleolithic ancestors before them. Put them in the ground. They have this chamber. You wanted them to be able to leave and come back from their body to the mastaba, back to the body, so the body stays preserved. Why would the body be so disconnected from the mastaba? Why would you have it so low down in the ground? Yeah.
Because you want its soul to go back up.
But why not just leave it all in the same room? Why make it a trip?
You want it to.
Yeah. Huh? Okay, so maybe there's preservation elements. That's actually a good point. What else? Yeah.
Well, I think because since it's a house for your death, they just want the pyramid to be like they did.
Connie's a little exercise, get out of the house a little bit.
What?
See the world.
Okay.
See the cave and your shaft. No, I know what you're saying. Yeah. There's kind of the main reason, so I want you to write that down. The shaft is for protection. The mastaba can come into the cock can come into the mastaba.
That's what I was going to say too. Let me finish.
All right. Protection. Too bad. Moving on. The mastaba is a place that potentially could be hit by a grave robber, by somebody that would destroy it. But at least the preservation of the body. You've got to have the body or else the ka can't exist. Kind of a unique thing. A lot of, some cultures don't care as much about the body. And in fact, a lot of other non-Egyptian and non-Christian cultures throughout history will burn the body. And that'll be the proper way to bury it, is to burn it. Today, cremation is a big thing. But for Christianity and for Egypt, kind of a similar tradition of preserving bodies. We want to keep them in tombs or crypts because it's important to have the body intact for various reasons. Beatrice.
Oh, I thought it was because they wanted it to rise again.
For the Christian or for the Egyptian?
For the body.
Well, Egyptians, they wouldn't rise again. They have a ka that needs to recognize the body. That's why they preserved the body so well. But for Christianity, it was to rise again. That there's a resurrection of the dead, then yes, Christianity. The mastaba had all the furniture, all the needs of the ka. Okay, so we kind of get the idea. By the way, I've been using this word ka. Ka is like your spirit. It's a ka that it's like a thing that knows who you are. Is that how the ka looks? Or are you trying to get out of verb? That was weird. All right. Weird. What did the Egyptians do to prepare the tomb for the afterlife? A couple things. So real quick, this isn't like a fun science or history kind of thing in terms of embalming. You don't need to know tons about it because we're looking at and focusing on the artwork. But just to know how it connects to the artwork, the embalming of the body is very important because you want to keep it intact as long as possible. You want to make sure the ka can recognize the face. Once it stops recognizing the face, it has to move on. It begins to lose its identity. It's all wrapped up in the body. The body is very important. No pun intended about the whole wrapped up part. All right. Wrapped up in the body. In the mummy's cage. Organs removed, taken out, and put into little jars. They're called canoptic jars. So these organs become these special extensions of the person. They themselves become ritualized artwork. Your whole body becoming a ritualized, preserved artwork. It's kind of creepy. Kind of make a good, I don't know, good serial killer show or something like that. Kind of creepy. Somebody's like, recreating the Egyptian mummification of his victims. Kind of investigate that. Canoptic jars also had heads of the various, like Anubis and Horus, as protectors over those very important parts of the body. Of course, one of the things they didn't really care about was the brain. They just kind of scrambled that up like scrambled eggs into hot tongs, and then let it kind of out. And everything else, though, they kind of make, the kidneys are really important. That's like the soul of the cough. So they put that in a jar. If they'd known it was like filtering all their toxins, and I don't know. Kidneys are important though too, so got love for the kidneys too. 40 days for salt to dehydrate the body, so then they're making it a little Egyptian jerky there.
Oh, we did that to a chicken.
Yeah, we did.
It tastes pretty good, right?
We mummified a chicken.
Did you mummify a chicken?
Yeah.
In the 6th grade, you mummified a chicken?
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. How come I didn't have your teacher?
No, it smells awful.
It smells terrible. You were there.
I brought the chicken.
That's awesome too.
Yeah, I would
These
fry
have
that.
been together for
I would
years.
just cut it, fry it, skin it.
So was it a live chicken that you killed? They're like, all right, everyone, go ahead and kill your chicken now. Just smother it. There you go.
She actually brought a chicken.
No, my dad killed it.
All right. Now that you smothered your chicken, you brought in a live chicken.
No, it wasn't a live chicken. We killed it before taking it.
You killed it first. Do you kill chickens?
No.
I didn't think it was done in the olden days. You didn't just have to
So you killed the chicken. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, how do you kill the chicken?
Cut off the tail.
You put it on the block and like,
the chicken's head.
that's it, and then you let it run around a little bit.
Roll around.
Like, here you go, ready? Very quickly.
Okay, so like basically in the army, it was like I don't know, war or something. Anyways, like his buddies and him got really drunk online, and they came to a farm, and there were chickens, and they thought they killed the chickens, and then they flexed them, but turns out they weren't dead, so they were naked chickens running around in the farm.
Ew. But it's like, that's horrible. That's terrible. Anyway, so was it a whole chicken that you were
Yes,
mummifying?
it was a whole chicken.
Or just like a piece of a chicken?
No, it was a whole chicken, but we cut
How did you
it off.
mummify it?
You
You wrapped it in toilet paper?
That is not.
This doesn't sound very.
I thought it was something
very
like, please.
was it a horrible? Like,
Shut up.
was it the first time your teacher did it? It was like, this is horrible. This is wrong. Like open up the place your textbooks are. Like, let's see. Oh, you know. You put in salt.
Now class, after you.
How would you get a live chicken? Where would you get a live chicken?
And it smelled horrible. Oh, the whole room smelled horrible. Ew. Well, at least you learned how to mummify stuff. That's it.
Why would anyone want to mummify
Anyways.
chicken? Please remove
Okay.
the toilet paper.
What do we got? Got a minute left?
Yeah.
All right. Happiness in the afterlife. Goal of the tomb. Okay. Know those things here. We're gonna learn a little bit. Well, whatever. Ideal process. So, the ideal process to prepare a body for death. We're not going to do this more because you're doing a Socratic seminar instead. But think about how we remember people. What's the rituals like that we do today with things, and we'll be going into the step pyramid. So, you just need to know about Canopy jars. That's all. Okay, so tomorrow, continuing Egypt, getting through to probably the Middle Kingdom. We'll go through it quickly. See you guys.
What was the date for Gustavo? Never mind.
This is the step pyramid, but Mastavas are, I thought, 2,900. Mastava, don't have it. I don't know. It's older, it's like 2,900, and then step pyramids are 26. That's what I think. Make sure your areas are cleaned up before you leave, please. Justin, where's he at? Would you mind picking up the books with those ladies in the back of it?
Can I have this?
Pretty rude.
Can I have this?
No, put it back over there.
I'm sorry, I'm taking it.
No, put it back.
Put it back now.
How did I deserve it? I have a work weekend. This is actually pretty.
It's nice, isn't it? It's too hot though. I was walking around like, nope.
Well, I'm pushing.
Yeah.
After you chop the head
In
of
my
the chicken.
on my the report thing,
Yeah.
I have it said that on the cake printing.
Yeah.
It says it's missing.
Oh, and you turn that in?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's all.
All right, let me Blanco
Rico.
Rico. I'll fix it.
So, stay.
No, you're good.
Thank you.
Rico, Nanko?
Uncle?
No, what's
Nova.
Nova? That's what it is. It's Blanco Rico Nova. Why don't I see it here? No, Blanco Rico Nova, Rico. Oh, Blanco Rico Nova. Bye! Cave painting 25. Alright, there you go. Yep. 84.1.
Okay.
What's up, Ashley? What's up, Syed? Oh, God. What's up, Andrea? Hello. Mondays? Well, I had 0 period. Did you have 0 period? Frick was that? Ugh, I had to go to the bathroom.
What happened to our group?
What happened?